everybody, and good morning to you all, our very respected and invited guests. My name is Winston PFO2, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to the fifth edition of the Ruach.ng platform, a platform that brings together thought leaders in the agribusiness space and the human capital development space to discuss on the way forward. Here, we don't just come up with templates or solutions, but we come up with action points, things that can be implemented almost immediately. Because as we know, as a country, we have enormous resources. We have always planned, but very few have taken the time to implement. And that is what this platform is about. That is what we are about. Today, we will be discussing, or we'll be starting a series, the Agribusiness 360-degree series. And in this edition, we will be looking at the business opportunities across the value chain. Business opportunities across the value chain. And co-moderating this panel with me is a very phenomenal lady, a very remarkable lady, who is an academic with experience in the banking sector. A very multifaceted lady who enjoys consulting, human development, and training. She just loves to impact people. My co-moderator, Dr. Toyin Ajibade.
Oh, thank you very much, Winston, for such introduction. I'm happy to be here this morning. And I'm really looking forward to the learning experience because I know that this is another opportunity for us to rub minds, to exchange ideas, and to know what is happening within the agricultural value chains. So it's such an exciting moment for me. Thank you very much. And I welcome everybody. Thank you for being here.
Thank you most kindly, Toyin. Thank you for that, for expressing your thoughts and for expressing your expectations. I am so sure that a handful of us here also have similar expectations. And we already have our resource persons in the house. I can see a very fine gentleman, someone who most people, upon seeing his name, were so eager to come to the event because he has impacted their lives. Currently on loan, away from that very promising career, perhaps one of the oldest forms of one of the oldest professions that the world has ever seen, the profession of teaching. So he is a very distinguished gentleman and a proud native of Ilorin, Kwara State, a civil engineer by training and a member of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, who has served as a consultant to several government and non-governmental organizations in the areas of water and sanitation. He is a thoroughbred academic who has risen through the ranks to become an associate professor of civil engineering at the University of Ilorin. Until his recent appointment, he was a lecturer in that university. And today, he currently works as the managing director and the chief executive officer of the Lower Niger River Basin Development Authority. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Dr. Adeni Said Aremu.
Good morning, everyone. Nice to be here.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
Now, before we proceed, whilst I wait for my second resource person, I think it's important that everyone, especially those of us who are joining the call for the first time, gets to know just what Ruach is all about. So I will, at this juncture, invite the technical team to share our introductory video on Ruach. So ladies and gentlemen, please sit back, relax, and watch the video on Ruach. This is how we introduce ourselves. Technical team.
Welcome once again to Ruach Forum. Since the COVID-19 reality, we've had the cause to reach out in different ways to various stakeholders in order to know how value can be created, call attention to where people have been blind spotted. The launch of Ruach Forum has brought many professionals together across policies, gender, finance, agribusiness, all to deliver value to the spectra of Nigerians and all over the world. Let's take a walk down the memory lane to see what has happened in the past 3 events.
It is important that we take Nigeria from the level of discussing templates to the level of practicing those content in the templates. So today, what I would like us to do and to focus more energy on is going beyond the conversation and generating possibilities and solutions.
For you to structure your business to be bankable, you must improve the bookkeeping. Most farmers are not very financially literate. That's one, but that's not enough.
All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the second edition of our online engagements at Ruach.
At DBN, we only focus on one thing, MSMEs. We don't go above, we don't go below, and we don't go beyond.
2021, we're going to convene a global summit on food systems. The UN Food Systems Summit will be convened in 2021. And so we are positioning the AGRF Summit as a place to put together an Africa position and contribution for that 2021 summit.
It's been very interesting, insightful, and honestly, I wish that I do this often. I'll be very interested in coming again.
As you might know, Ruach Agribusiness is here and we are ready to work with you to deliver and enable vibrant minds, put knowledge into action in value creation, and turn your goal into projects and reality. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the technical team. And just whilst that video was going on, our second resource person joined us. She is a lady who has blazed the trail, a graduate of agricultural economics from the Ahmadu Bello University, the prestigious Ahmadu Bello University. And she also holds a master's degree in agricultural economics from the Bayero University, Kano. She is, or she has been for the last 7 years or so, the managing director and chief executive officer of Techni Seeds. She is also a ranking official of the Nigerian Seed Council, SEEDAN. Please, ladies and gentlemen, let us receive Mrs. Stella Thomas.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Good to be
Good
on here.
morning.
Welcome.
Good morning, and I can see a lot of seeds behind you.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so let's get the show started. And Dr. Aremu, you would permit me, as a gentleman, I would want to start with the lady.
Okay.
All right. So, Mrs. Thomas, you are in the seed industry. And I think this is an industry that many would assume is largely dominated by the male folks. And it's also an industry that is highly competitive. As someone who has blazed the trail, I am certain that a lot of ladies who studied agricultural economy can now set their sights high in industry because they have someone like you to look up to. So please, give us a brief about your vision when you started Techni Seeds. How has it been since you started? What's your experience? Where are you now in terms of your annual revenue, your customer base, your staff strength, and even your distribution network? Can you please tell members of the audience all about Techni Seeds in 5 minutes?
Okay, I'm glad to be here today. I want to thank the organizers for inviting me on this platform. I decided that, okay, I'll share my story. Just by the introduction, I'm actually a graduate of agricultural economics. And of course, you know the way it is when you go into school. Originally, I applied for pharmacy and then agri as my second choice, but I was given agriculture. So I knew that God had a purpose for me there. And immediately after graduation, I made up my mind that I was not going to look for a job. Or that time people were looking for white collar job, working in the bank and all that. But I said no, I was going to serve in an agricultural firm. So God granted me my heart desire. I was posted to an agricultural firm. But guess what? I was the first staff in the place. So I was wondering, I'm just coming out of the university. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to, how am I supposed to impact value here? But that was the best experience that I actually had, because it gave me the privilege of starting the organization from the scratch. So from starting the office to be okay. So that was how I started my youth service in that place. And after the youth service, I was retained. And when I was being retained, my boss then told me that, are you sure you're going to stay? Agric is a very strong business. It's a field for men. In fact, let me tell you something. Before I was given that place where I served, since I was in school, I had some companies that were agri-based. I decided to check them out myself. But anytime I went to any company, they would tell me, you won't be able to do it, it's for men. You won't be able to do it, it's for men. You won't be able to do it for men. I'm like, why? What's so special about men that a woman cannot do? And so it drove my determination. So to cut the long story short, I was able to work in that organization. It was an agricultural firm, a seed business too, till I became the MD of the organization before I had to set up Techni Seeds. I had the privilege of setting up the Techni Seeds. And what did I want to do different? I found out that our farmers can actually get better. They can get more yield from their farm. I had the idea that agriculture can be sexy. Agriculture doesn't have to just be hoe and knife. So I said to myself, I'll have to bring in graduates like me that have the same passion, that want to meet those farmers and let them know that their toils can amount to something for them. So I decided to, the vision of Techniseed is to ensure that we are the #1 agribusiness in Africa, a one-stop agribusiness place in Africa. So we said we're going to start with seed. And when we started with seed, some of the gaps that we observed were a lot of the companies then were in the town, and then these farmers were in the village. So we said we're going to break that gap by ensuring that we are with the farmers in the village. So part of the things that we started with was demonstration. And I also said to myself, being a woman, that will have to get women farmers involved, because they always say something that when you hand over anything to a woman, you are handing it over to, as in you are sure you're taking care of a nation. So I always had that mindset. So even in my team, I have a lot of women that work with me, because I believe that women can live. But I'm not biased for the men that are here. So we decided to work as a team. And being a male-dominated environment, a lot of times I'll go for meeting. I'll be the only woman there. In fact, I was the first female in Nigeria to set up a seed business. So you can imagine how tough it was for me. Sometimes in a whole meeting, I'm the only woman there, so I have to talk to all the men. But what were the driving force? Like I said, #1, it was the passion. Passion to see that the farmers get results and get yield, value for money. 2, it was the resilience, because a lot of times, and these are some things that are very important in business, it wasn't all rosy. I'm just giving like 5 minutes to talk, so I can't tell you the whole story. It wasn't all rosy. There were times that my time is up, right?
Your time is up. So just bring everything home. Just bring everything home.
So together, okay, so the passion, the resilience, the accountability, and of course the vision. Those are the driving force that I had, and I knew that I had to account for this thing that has been handed over to me. And so those were the things that put me together to get me to where I am today. You know, I was asked, I thought it's over the, yeah, so that's how Techniseed started. It just started from a dream of a young girl that was a copper. And look at me today, in a nutshell.
And how long has Techniseed been in existence for?
Yeah, Techniseed was registered officially in 2011, and this is 2020. So by next year will be 10 years.
It'll be 10 years. Okay, and what's your customer base like now?
Wow.
Any idea? Within reach? Getting to Africa already?
You know, it has to be, yeah, outside Africa, because we sell to Ghana, we sell to Burkina Faso, we sell to, yeah, so
I need not, okay, so I need not ask about the revenue then. I can only imagine.
We can only be better. We're getting, it's getting better by the day, so.
All right. Thank you most kindly. I think you left a couple of nuggets there for people to glean from. What a man can do, a woman can certainly do better. And yes, we will not take offense to the fact that you are advocating for the female folks. We accept that and we encourage you on that. But interestingly, passion, resilience, and accountability. Beyond that, having a vision and your ability to chunk the vision into smaller parts and forming a goal. That is what will drive just about any business, whether in the agribusiness space or anything. You want to be number one in agribusiness, but you're starting with seeds. You've chunked the vision down. Thank you most kindly, Mrs. Thomas. Now let me go to my big brother, Dr. Aremu. We can't talk about seed, and for the seeds to germinate, we need water, we need sunlight. And in an attempt to ensure the development of surface and underground water resources of our country, the federal government established the Basin Authority as a parastatal under the Federal Ministry of Water Resources. And one of the intended uses of this water is the development of irrigation agriculture. Now, Dr. Aremu, you have been the chief executive of the Lower Niger River Basin Development Authority, and you understand the mandates of this organization. I would like to know, how have you interpreted this mandate, and how far have you gone in the execution of this mandate? Are there visible economic benefits to the farmers, knowing fully well that with irrigation agriculture, we could have twice the yield we would have if we depended only on rain-fed agriculture? So we'd like to know, we've heard from the seeds lady, let's hear from the waterman.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Moderator. Welcome. Thank you for inviting me to come and speak a little on what I know about water. You know, water is everything. Water is life. The River Basin, I'll start with the River Basin Development Authority. You know, it was created from this inspiration from the TVA, Tennessee Valley Authority in the United States in 1933. The TVA, the Tennessee Valley Authority, is an authority created then by a charter, and it was to provide navigation, flood control, and the rest. So Nigeria too, in 1976, by Decree 25 of (1987), and basically they are to use the two basic infrastructure we have, natural resources, that's land and water, for development. As you have said, we have so many of our myths, but I can fuse them together to tell you that it's basically an inclusive development of both surface and groundwater resources. And by so doing, you will use that surface and groundwater potential of the nation for agriculture, for water supply, hydropower, and the rest. Like we have 36 states and the FCT, we will have 12 river basin development authorities in the country. They are stratifying Nigeria. It's like stratifying Nigeria based on water bodies. So we have basins. The river is a flowing water, while the basin is the catchment of it. That means the land area covered by a river or its tributaries. So it represents a basin. So you can have 12 of such in Nigeria. And back to your question, that's the background information on the RBDs, the River Basin Development Authorities. As on irrigated agriculture, you observe that 83% of land, cultivated land, practice rain-fed agriculture. And rain-fed alone cannot provide the needs of the country. As you said too, that irrigated agriculture can provide twice much as rain-fed because it supplies the exact amount of water needed for each one. And you notice now Nigeria has closed its border. We can no more import staples like rice. And you know rice is always tasty. So you need water and water and water to actually grow rice. And now this pandemic also, we should think about post-COVID-19. How will we provide? We have been followed for some time because of COVID-19. Now, as we are going, but the lockdown is being eased, we want to see what will happen. So we need more of irrigated agriculture. Rain-fed alone cannot supply the basic needs of the country. So we now have to go put all year round kind of farming. But you know that most of our farmers are season bound. They actually do only rain-fed agriculture, and they use tools. Those tools of now, yesteryears cannot work now. We have to mechanize agriculture. So the Basin Authority is basically there to actually provide water and provide the land opportunities for farmers. As we go on, I will tell you, enumerate so many activities that we are doing. But as we have both land and water resources, the idea is make them available to Nigerians. How do we make them available through the RBDAs to Nigerians? Provide irrigated agriculture, provide the facilities and the rest, so that we increase our produce. For example, rice. If I take rice example, we have so many arable lands which we can grow land. But if we have too much water, it's not good for the crop. And if you don't have water, it's not good for the crop too, as like humans too. So the idea of the a water engineer, let's put it based on my profession, a water engineer is for you to provide water when there's no water. And then when there's too much water, try as much as possible for it not to affect what you are doing. So it's like trying to adapt natural environment to what you are doing. Thank you.
Thank you most kindly. I know that you have a lot to say about the water engineering and water and all that, and we will delve into this thing in great detail as we go along. So our participants, if you have any questions, you could start sending them in, or you could write them down, and in the course of the event, we will open the floor to you to ask your questions. For now, I would want to invite Toyin, my co-moderator, to ask a few questions of her own.
Yeah, thank you very much, Winston. Thank you, Dr. Aremu, for such an insightful conversation that is being generated. And also, of course, to Mrs. Stella, thank you for being the woman in the room, sometimes the only woman in the room. So my first question is going to go to Dr. Aremu, and I'm going to be taking this based on a personal experience that I had in recent times, where I was carrying out a study in the value chain, which took me around so many northern states within the last few weeks. And then, you know, when I got to Kebbi, I had such an experience that I could not even perform, where we have thousands of people losing their farmlands, there's flooding all over the place. The Rima River, along all the basin, there was flooding all over Kebbi State. Billions of naira worth of goods, of agricultural commodities were actually lost. And, I was coming from a place, I was coming from Ilorin, where I have a friend who is a plant breeder that was actually praying every day and asking me to, recruiting me and my family to be praying for us so that there will be rain. And I could not marry it because over there's so much water, it wasn't even good for them. It was destroying the crops. And here in the south, we have people who are actually praying to God for rains. And it comes to what you just said, about agriculture being climate driven, mostly in Nigeria, and not even only in Nigeria, even across developing countries. What exactly is your organization? What are you doing? What are you trying to put in place to shift us from that climate dependency in agriculture to a state where, a lot of people can have access to irrigation? What is the role that you are playing currently, or what are the visions that your organization has in terms of getting this done, sir? Dr. Yeah.
All right. I think we lost Dr. Remu there. Sorry, Toyin. I will just invite Stella. And when Dr. Remu comes back, I'll allow you to take that question again because I think it's extremely important. Yes. So let me get Mrs. Thomas back. Are you there, Stella? So I think, Mrs. Thomas, you shared a couple of things about how you started the seed business, where you are today, and some of the things that you have been able to accomplish. So that many people here, I did joke about the revenue, but I think a handful of people here might be considering going into the seeds industry. So can you share with us what your thoughts are on the economic potential of the seed industry across the different agricultural value chains that we have? How much seed do you think is utilized in each value chain? And what are the monetary benefits that one could get? Because anyone who wants to go into a business is looking at the benefits in terms of finance. So can you speak to this in 3 to 5 minutes, please? 3 to 5 minutes.
Okay, yeah. Thank you so much for bringing me back on. Concerning data, there has been several data concerning the quantity or the value of seed that we require in this country because it's enormous. There are different aspects of the seed. For example, I am only talking about maybe arables. We have rice, maize, millet, sorghum. But when you go down the south, we have things like cashew, cocoa, name them, plantain, because one thing, before I go there, I have to let you know what seed is. There's a difference between seed and grain. Seed is that embryonic material that is covered, that you plant to produce whatever you want. Maybe for like rice, you understand, you plant rice seed. But sometimes cottons are also seeds, like cassava cottons. You don't have to see them as seeds. So sometimes some of them are cottons. Even for like oil palm, what you have is seedlings. So it's quite enormous. It's a sector that has not been tapped fully. That is the truth. It has not been tapped fully. So I maybe when we get to Federal Ministry of Agriculture, we can be able to like say these are the potentials. But one thing I want you to know is that in Nigeria, 70% of our population is involved in agriculture. We have 70% of our lands that are arable, that can be used for farming. So all we need to do is to harness them. All we need to do is to harness them. For example, in terms of rice, Dr. Remu just said something. before now, we're importing a lot of rice, and there's still a little level of importation of rice going on. So these are in billions of these are in billions of naira. And then when you want to talk about in metric tons, these are in 100,000s of metric tons for different aspects. There are different aspects. So if I want to start itemizing them, rice is this, maize is this, but that's an information that I can put together and then send to this platform that maybe we can share later. But it's quite enormous for the different sectors. It's too loud. It's too large. It's not something only me can say. Now, okay, if I talk about I know that in 2014, the total metric tons of seeds that was produced in Nigeria was close to 700,000 metric tons of various capacity of seed. And we have not even scratched what we need to do. And I'm also talking about majorly arables like rice, maize, and all that, not cashew and all that, because I don't know so much about those aspects. I don't do those ones. It's mostly the arable. So it's large. And there's an investor, any investor that wants to come into it, is a major field, because you can invest from different angles. There's the area called the early generation seed. You can decide I want to start with the early generation seed. And the early generation seed has to do with, the breeder seed. That's the first seed. And that will work with the research institutes on that. They have the mandate. We have different research institutes that have the mandate for early generation seeds in Nigeria. For example, IAR, that's Institute of Agric Research in Zaria. They have the mandate for maize, sorghum, and millet. But now some private companies have started going into it. So you can work on the early generation seed, and that's the breeding aspect that you can even sell to some seed companies for them to use for their certified seed, because there are like major 3 classes for seeds. There's the early generation seed, that's the breeder seed, and then we have the foundation seed, and then we have the certified seed before we get to the grain. So most seed companies actually use the certified seed to produce the grains. You understand? So you can decide that, okay, this is the aspect I want to go into. You can also decide that you want to go into the aspect of processing. There are some organizations that theirs is just to produce, but they don't process. The processing has to do with the cleaning of the material, because after it's been processed on the field, it's not what is processed, because that's the difference. Sometimes some people will say, it's not that same thing that the farmers are planting. No. Can you hear me? Do I still have time?
Yeah, I think you can just wrap up in 10 to 15 seconds, because Dr. Remu is back.
So what I'm just trying to say, it's quite large. It's a large sector, and investors are welcome inside to come and invest. And like I said, I will draw out for the articles, send it to the organization, and they can send it to every one of us.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Thomas. We would definitely appreciate that, because we are here to show the business opportunities across the value chain. And from what you have said, there is an opportunity in the seed sector. And there is a mismatch between the demand and what is available, especially what is being produced locally. So indeed, there is a market, and there are loads of opportunities there for profits, as a business would seek. So I would now invite you to engage Dr. Aremu once again. Dr. Aremu, welcome back.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I had some challenges. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. The challenges are understandable. That's the situation of internet in our country. That's fine. So what what we're talking about, sir, just before the break, is I was speaking from a personal experience about my recent trip around northern states, which I'm talking about a few weeks back. And that's one of the things I found, very intriguing, is the fact that over there, especially in places like in Kebbi, there's so much losses due to flooding in recent times, because all the places along the Rima River, Sokoto, everywhere is flooded. And people actually lost billions of naira worth of agricultural commodity. And I was coming from Ilorin, a place where my friend had to recruit me to be praying for her to have rains because she needed to go to field. And I'm trying to look at it from this perspective. We have so much water at some time. We have very little at some other time. And yet we are still, agriculture in Nigeria, not just Nigeria, but across developing countries, is still largely climate driven. So what is the organization? What are you doing, to tackle this challenge, to be able to move us from that level where we are, where our climate dependency is going to reduce, that will help farmers to produce all year round? Thank you, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. You went to Kebbi, you have floods. Then in Ilorin, you said there's no water. So that's what I said. That's the work of a water resources engineer. Where there's no water, try to have water there. And where there's too much water, try to control it. I'll give an example of Shonga in Kwara State, right beside the bank of River Niger. It's the same thing that is happening at Rima, that's Kebbi State, that's happening there. When you have too much water, rain-fed agriculture will not be possible in such an area. You will notice that in Shonga now, they only do dry season farming. They don't do rain-fed. So that's a big challenge. And the federal government has invested so much there that, okay, since you have problem of floods, how do we control floods? You have dams. Dams are built across a river body. That is to retain water. But when you have too much water going to an area, then you have a dike. A dike is parallel, not across. So it's to prevent water from undulating the area of agriculture. Like in Shonga, we have 3,200 hectares of land to protect. So with that dike built, you are able to secure that area. It means now you can now do rain-fed and dry season farming. So during the dry season, you can now pump in water from River Niger into the 3,200 hectares to produce to the farmers. So with that facility, kind of facility, now you have been able to solve the problem caused by nature. Again, he said in another area in Ilorin where they don't have water, that's where the issue of damming, that's a dam. You see, it's down the opposite of the dike. The dam is now, you retain more water, and adjoining land, you now acquire adjoining land such that when there is no water, you now provide irrigation facilities. So the accident, he has mandated the River Basin Development Authorities to open up more land, and not land alone, irrigable lands. About 10,000 2020, by 2020, we are to open up, the 12 river basins are to open up at least 100,000 hectares of land, which we are near to that. If you combine the number of lands that have been opened, that have been cleared by the RBDs. But before you clear land, first dam water, so that in the dry, when we have enormous water like now, make sure you create a reservoir for that water. Then you provide facilities, irrigation facilities, such that in the dry season, by so doing, you're able to now overcome this challenge that agriculture is not climate driven.
Yes, sir.
Is now man-made. You can do man-made structures. You can. Then another aspect is the area of erosion control. We have several structures which you can use to channel water. Natural environment has the water has its way, and as a civil engineer, you notice that when you do design, you have to put water into cognizance, because if you don't put water, it's water that will destroy the infrastructure you have provided. That's why you have drainage by the side. It shows that water too is a pedestrian. You must provide where it's going to channel the water. Then you can also guide water to have to move in a particular part so that it will drain into a reservoir. And that reservoir, you can use the water, impound that water, make it all year so that it is during the rainy season, and then you utilize during the dry season. Thank you.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. One thing that I will take away from everything you have said is the fact that all of the things you have highlighted, sir, they are capital intensive. These things are not things that are going to be affordable to the people that are into agriculture, so to speak. So we really look forward to a situation whereby, there will be some things that the government is able to do to be able to put some of this, because all of these things we have highlighted, yes, they are actually the things we need to put in place, but are they things that we can put in place as individuals in the country? No. So we are still dependent, a lot on government for some of these things. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
So I would like to have Mr. Wilkin to take the next question. Although, if you don't mind, I can just go straight to Mrs.
Please, you have the floor. You have the floor.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much. Mrs. Stella, thank you very much. I know that you're doing a lot of work.
Yeah.
Because in recent times, I've had experiences with the National Agricultural Seed Council, and I know the the level of work that you have to do, the level of work that you have to put in for you to be able to come up with just to have certified seed. And then also, I know the kind of work that a lot of research institutes, places like the Lake Chad Research Institute, the IAR, and all of them, I know that they are doing a lot. So I understand what you're doing. But I would like to ask you, if somebody is planning to come into this industry, what are the advice that you're going to give? For instance, maybe you could tell us about what it takes for somebody to invest in or even to start a business in the seed industry. Because we are looking at it from the perspective that this thing is not something that you can easily come into, because there are regulatory bodies, there are rules and regulations that are strict, which has to be in place. And that, in fact, is going to take me to something that you said, that you talked about before, where you said that your seed actually go to other countries. So I'm actually wondering, how can your seeds go to other countries in Africa? Because you have the national, going to have also bodies that regulate that come into their country. Do you have to go to all those countries to get, maybe certification from them that they can sell your seed? Or is your seed going into those African countries? Is it constituting some form of informal seed system to them? Thank you, Ma.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, let me start with the second question. How does it go to the other countries? There's something we call regional harmonization that has been done by FORA and then the West African countries, where a lot of the seeds are tried. There are some countries that are in our region, like Ghana, Gambia, and all that. So through IITA, some of these materials have been harmonized. And at the last AGRF meeting, that's one of the things that is being promoted: easy passage of these materials from this country to the next country for the West African or the regional harmonized areas. So it's not something that it's not an informal way. So like the ones that we sold it through the association and Seed Association of Nigeria. That's the private body that is handling the seed industry in Nigeria. But if as an individual at Techniseed, if I want to go and sell there are some registration I also have to do in those states. And in those countries. Yes, in those countries to enable me to sell my seed. But one thing has to be taken note of is that these are materials that must be on the catalog of the harmonized regional materials that can be sold in this country. So then the next question is the process. If you want to start up this business, the first thing actually that you do is actually to work. You already mentioned them, the Seed Council, National Agricultural Seed Council of Nigeria. They are the ones that have the mandate. So what is expected of you first is for you to discover the niche that you want to operate in. Just like I said, it's quite vast, and they are the ones that are in charge of everyone. So if you discover the niche, maybe if you're living in the north, and because a lot of all these plantations, they don't do well in the north. So most people here don't get involved in like cocoa, oil palm. Apart from Kaduna, some oil palm seedling happens in Kaduna, and then even some cassava cuttings happens in Kaduna and all that. So it's for you to first discover the niche, which is something that we are promoting. Not like when we started. When we started basically anyone, let's just put our hands, okay, let's look at rice, let's look at maize. You understand? So when you discover the niche you want to operate in, then you walk up to Seed Council and tell them that these are your intentions. Basically, the major thing they'll tell you is to go and register the company, and it has to be 10 million shares. 10 million shares. So 10 million, I think in CAC is about 350,000. So I don't know whether it's more than that, but it used to be about that 350,000. And then the next question they are going to ask you is, where is the land, your plan? Because they will need you to be production. You don't produce seeds where you produce grains, because there's something that is very spectacular about the seed, and that has to do with isolation. You understand? Isolation distance, which can come in terms of timing, in terms of isolation, or also the place. So they want to know how you producing it. A lot of us use outgrowers. For example, I have over 1,000 outgrowers on my team now, and for 2020 our target is increasing 2,000, and 2021 2,000 outgrowers, and you know that will produce different aspects of the seed. So one of the things that will they want to know is, are you going to be producing directly? Because if you're going to be producing directly, that means you need a large expanse of land, and no matter how much, like I said to you, we found out that 91 million hectares, that's based on research, it's arable, and we're only using 42% right now in Nigeria. So you can imagine, so what's happening to the remaining 58%? So there's still a lot of land. It's for us to be able to harness them. So they want to now know where do you produce from and all that. And then basically it will also depend on how many, to what value do you want to start with? How much do you have? Do you want to start with 1 million? Do you want to start with 5 million? Do you want to start with 10 million? Like I told you, it's a process. Some of us started gradually, and then we started growing. But sometimes some people start big because of the amount of money. You start in, okay, you want to start in 1,000 hectares. You want to start in 1,000 hectares. For example, an average cultivation for 1 hectare of rice, you should be spending like 300,000. So if you're going to do 300,000 times it by 1,000 hectares, that should give you some figures. Yeah. That's for rice, you understand? Yeah. So for maize, so there are different production per hectares that you want to use. So that would determine, and then maybe you're going into process and all that, depending on how you want to start.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma. Thank you very much, Ma. Maybe I should quickly take a follow-up question, but which I think, which I want to plead that you try to answer that one within a minute or so. You talk about the use of outgrowers. So, for instance, I've had I've experienced instances where you have outgrowers, and then some of them fail. When how the state staff of the National Agricultural Seed Council, they will go through the process of inspection and all of that. When they fail, have you had such experiences where some of your outgrowers fail when the test is carried out? What do you do with them? Are you going to just tell them that, well, their seed is not acceptable, or you're going to compensate them anyway? How do you manage that? that experienced it before?
When they fail, it means that you cannot use that seed. So when they fail, they can sell it off in the market as grains.
Okay, okay, but you're still going to compensate the outgrower. Yeah, thank you very much, ma.
Yes.
Thank you very much, ma. Okay, so Mr. Wilson, Mr. Wilson,
Thank
please
you.
come on in. Thank you.
That's fine. I've been enjoying the chat. I just want to have a follow-up, take a follow-up. I want to piggyback on what you were talking about, Mrs. Thomas. Now, you've been able to enumerate the various aspects of the seed sector. You've talked about the share capital that is required. Now, there are many people here, like I said, who are out here just for the business opportunities. So some might be asking, just about how much do I need to have a functional seed company? And if I don't want to own one, are there levels within which I could engage in that sector as a financier, as an investor, as a distributor? I just want to know how I can earn some money from the sector. So can you please give us some insight as to in these areas?
Okay. Like I said, it depends on what level you want to start with.
Okay, I think we have lost Mrs. Thomas. So whilst we wait for her to reconnect, I would like to get my big brother back, Dr. Aremu. Great. Dr. Aremu, in the course of your conversation with Toyin, your Leonard colleague,
yes,
she mentioned that it could be, yeah, you mentioned that it could be quite capital intensive to have a dam. The smallholder farmers might be unable to have a dam of their own. Now, I know your organization is running some programs to engage the smallholder farmers, providing assistance to them to enable them make use of your water. Can you talk to us about some of these programs and what needs to be done to access these programs? What are the requirements, and is there a framework document on getting on any of such programs?
Okay, thank you. Permit me to start from where my learned colleague stopped the other time. Yeah, he said that those water resources infrastructure, they are like capital incentive. Yes, it's true. You need much big capital to do that. But the federal government is supposed to provide that infrastructure, like the one we have here at the River Basin Development Authorities. This kind of project will be initiated from the community, and the federal government will now take over construction of such, like the dams. Those are big ones, the dams. But irrigation facilities, we have some other corporate agencies that do provide that. But the basic idea of the RBDs, development authorities, is to first provide infrastructure through the federal government. And at times, the legislators, House Senate members of Senate, and then members of the House of Rep, they can put it as their zonal intervention project, or otherwise known as the constituency projects. Once we provide this, we hand over to the community. So if the community cannot even provide that, they should be able to operate and maintain, like the dams and the dikes and the rest. We are also pay compensation to acquire land. And as you have said, for the kind of framework we have is to the federal government under President Muhammadu Buhari, and I told you about the ERGP, the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan, is that we should engage as many youths as possible into farming. By so doing, we should provide land open up more lands. My sister there said that 40% of arable lands have not been utilized in Nigeria. That's quite true. So we are trying to open up, every year we are opening up more lands for people to occupy. But you know, she also said that you need about 300 hectares of 3,000 naira, 3,000 naira to actually produce from 1 hectare of rice. Now, you know that too is also capital dependent. So if we have come up with a program whereby you don't need any capital, we have lands that we have acquired and we can prepare, we have facilities to prepare land for farmers. What we now do is that last year we try to now sign MOU with another government agency such that the farmer start 1 man 1 hectare program. So the 1 man 1 hectare program is that the farmer will allocate 1 hectare, maximum of 1 hectare to a farmer. So the farmer does not need any capital. Now there will be a company that will provide the inputs, that is the seeds. We will do the land preparation for them based on what we have. And then there's also an organization who serve as off-takers. That means they will buy this processed, the crops. So the farmer doesn't need anything. What the farmer needs is to manage that 1 hectare. And we won't give more than 1 hectare. Last year, we started with 350 farmers, and the program was fantastic. But we had little challenges, which I'd like to share with anyone listening to us here. The major one is bureaucracy. You know, there is time to plant. You plant at that appropriate time. When it's time to harvest, you harvest at that time. If you don't harvest, you know, you can lose those crops. So that's major challenge. Release of money, maybe for land preparation. You have to go through several tables before getting that money. And again, when it's time for applying herbicides, pesticides, and the rest, you have to go through the same process, which makes the thing is tedious. But we are trying to find our way around that so that we have people, if we have business-minded people here that can invest in this, especially again in area of irrigation facilities. If we have people who want to move to a stage whereby you computerize your irrigation infrastructure. From your table, you know that this crop requires water, so you send in you send it from the office. You don't have to go there. You send it from your office, and it gives the water, the exact water requirement of that crop. So that's where we are headed to. But for now, the smallholders, we'll give them land. You know, we have then the corporate bodies too. We also, like we are in Ejiba, we have so many corporate organizations. And if you have cooperative societies, we have associations, NUJ, and NUT, Nigeria Union of Teachers too. All of them, like last year, based on that, they have been attracted to this kind of program. And since they know they are not putting any capital, it's only their effort they have to put. So they are willing to, and Nigerians are willing to partake in this kind of program. So by this year, if not COVID-19, we intend to, it is our desire to move a step further and then make to all our area offices, you know, for easy administration of what we are doing, that's development of both surface and groundwater. We have 5 area offices spread across Kwara and Kogi. You know, our target area is Kwara and Kogi, so we have this area office. So we intend to now put those facilities. Again, we want to use minimum efforts that's in operation of these facilities, like the irrigation facilities. We are moving to the diesel-operated irrigation facilities for pumping to solar-powered ones, so that when you lose solar, it's capital intensive when you want to start, but in the long run, when you lose solar, we are trying to everything to be renewable, so that you use solar to pump. At the end of the day, no matter what you have, you pump water, you don't spend much money, and the prices of crops coming out, again, now will now be we'll be able to provide employment, reduce poverty, and also reduction in the prices of things.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I think we will come to the part of considering renewable energy to power the dams. But I think just to iterate some of the things you've mentioned, we can get access to the lands close to your dams if we apply for them.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And you have a program currently running, the 1 man, 1 hectare program. Where you don't give off more than 1 hectare. And this will come at no cost to the farmer. All he has to do is just get his inputs and start working.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, is there a procedure to make this application? Is it a website we have to go through? Do we have to write? Do we have to physically visit your office in Ilori?
Yes.
And is it open to non-residents of Kwara State? So can I come from?
Yes. This is the federal government establishing it, so it's open to anybody, anyone that's provided you are in Nigeria.
Okay. All right. So, and what's the procedure to apply for it?
So, no, it's quite simple. You go to the area offices. We have area managers, and if at the micro level, you can go to the project officer. Then put down your name, account details. I think that's the major requirement. And then your willingness, then you now sign. So, but we have limited land. We are trying to open it up more and more. So people are there, and the land we give out as lease to farmers is only for 2 seasons. So for 2 seasons, that means by January, it's time bound now. You can't come now and say you want to apply. We will have distributed all the lands we have, both for rain-fed and dry season farming. So by early January, people will start putting down their names for this kind of program. So, and irrespective of where you come from, but we are a little bit gender biased. We will prefer more females. Since
Thank
it's male dominated.
Thank you very much for that.
I'm sure Mrs. Thomas is smiling about that.
Yes.
We are all smiling. Thank you very much, Winston.
I wanted her to smile.
Let me follow up with a quick question, sir. You talked about this 1 hectare 1 man program that you have running.
And 1 woman 1 hectare.
Oh, no, you said it was 1 man.
Oh, yes. 1 woman, 1 hectare, yes, sir. And then you said that there can be off-takers.
Yes, sir.
For this, okay, so can you give us an idea, or what are the crops, what are the focus crops, sir? Because for you to say that there are off-takers, it has to be that there's a crop that they are taking from you. What are the focus crops for this program, sir?
Yes, it depends on the area office or the project office. It depends on, and then where we have processing units, people who are willing to take, like if it's in Shonga area of Kwara State, it's rice. Yes, so you have processing plants there. And so the off-takers are basically those that process rice. So at times it's Grinya, we have one at Grinya near Abuja, in between Lokoja and Agria. So the man processing it, Vatex, is quite sweet within the premises of River Basin. So it takes those paddy directly from there. Then also there are organizations like which are also into this, and they liaise with the River Basin or sorghum or the rest. Like there's one poultry feeds and the rest. So when they come to us, we say, okay, these are our farmers, and then they interact with the farmers and provide all the inputs for them. Then the outputs, so what they remove then they sell the outputs per hectare or per number of what they are able to get from 1 hectare. Then the balance goes to the farmer.
All right, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Aremu. We have a couple of hands up already. People want to ask questions, but I just want to take 2 or 3 other questions before I open the floor to the members of the audience. Mrs. Thomas is back. You were trying to tell me how I could invest in the seed space without actually owning a land or a seed farm.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much. I don't know where I stopped, but those figures that I said before, I don't know those on the platform, it's not something to scare you at all. There are some people now that are using, thinking out of the box. Like recently I met a young man, and what did he do? What he did is that in his area, he harnessed some farmers. You understand? He told them, okay, I don't want you people to produce anything. Let's use your land. I'm going to give you the seeds that you will use. That's the foundation seeds that you will use, and then give you chemicals and all that. And the farmers were happy. They were willing to give him his land. And then that way he said, at the end of the harvest, what we are going to do is I'm going to take 50% of the produce, and you are going to take 50%. So you are going to be like the farm manager, and you're going to take care of the seed, but I'm just going to bring in the input and also the technical know-how, and then we'll share 50-50. And that was how he started his own business. And before you know it, he started recruiting a number of people. So, but the figure that I am talking about is, he just was working only on production. So, but there is a processing aspect, because you now have to get in the processing material. But before you can get in your own, there are also some processing places that you can use. Like before I was able to get my processing plant, I was using one in Zaria. You understand? So it just depends on you and how much you want to invest in the industry. It's an industry where you can grow. When I was talking about 300 to 500, like the bigger companies that we look at outside the country, like the Monsanto, I don't know how many of you know Monsanto seed company. I heard that their budget alone, their budget alone on R&D is more than Nigerian budget, the whole of our Nigerian budget. And that's a seed company. So you can imagine. So when I'm calling these figures, you can relate with what I'm saying. But we are Nigerians. We always have a way of surviving and growing through the process. So I don't want anybody to feel, but it's something you can start depending on how you, just like the 1 man 1 hectare. Even Nesal, I don't know if you know about Nesal. There's something Nesal is also doing now. If you can organize your farmers, they can come in and give you the input, they'll give you the seed, give you the input. Once you have your farmers and you have people that can buy back, they will give you these things on loan at a particular percentage, and at the end you pay back and you've started in terms of growing. So those are opportunities that are there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Stella.
All right, thank you most kindly, Stella. Thank you most kindly, Mrs. Thomas. Toyin, do you mind if I just follow up with Dr. Remu before I invite you? I know he's
your that's fine. Thank you.
academic colleague. So just
go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, Dr. Remu, you were talking about, or you started a conversation around the use of renewable energy and other sources of energy to power the dams, because we understand that the infrastructure can be quite expensive. And we've seen in other countries around the world that they have begun using other scalable power sources, solar and hydro, places like Bangladesh, places like Kenya, because without, they understand that the water is important, and if you are spending so much money to power your dam, it would automatically increase the cost of the crops because you have to make the money back. So can you talk to us on some of the technologies you are considering deploying in the nearest future? I know you mentioned diesel, it's quite expensive.
Okay, yeah. We are trying to look at areas where the world in entirety is trying to look at where you use less of the man-made techniques to actually provide comfort to human beings. You notice water supply too. If you want to supply potable water, we are moving towards the area where you now be using less chemicals. Less chemicals, use natural means of treating water so as it's to remove the impurities in water to make it potable for consumption. The same thing with agriculture. In 2016, 2017, The Honorable Minister of Water Resources, Engineer Suleiman Adamu, launched the Shongai model, signed MOU with sugar farms in Benin Republic, that we should use the Shongai model, less fertilizers, use an integrated type of agricultural setup, so that you use less of fertilizers or other inputs, man-made inputs. You try to use the natural, what you have naturally. For example, diesel now, is very, very expensive, as much as 200 naira per liter. So if you use it to pump, it will add to the cost of the product. But now we are looking at using wind, solar, and hydro. That's the water which you have. The hydro, the water, you already have that water. Now, the basic thing for providing electricity is that in the hydro form is for you to actually find something that will convert kinetic energy into potential energy. You make use of the kinetic energy in water to move turbines and then generate electricity. That in turn, within the same system, can now be used to power irrigation systems, to pump water. Then again, you can also take advantage of solar energy. Now we have so many parts of Nigeria. You can use solar to power your turbines, or to either to use it for an electricity generator, or to actually move the irrigation, to pump water, move irrigation facilities. Then you also have wind too in some parts of Nigeria, which you can take advantage of the intensity of that wind to actually do the work. So by so doing, you are spending less. You are spending less on that. But of particular emphasis is this solar. For our boreholes, we use the normal number pump, 1 horsepower, 1.5 horsepower, 2 horsepower. But the solar powered pumps now, we find them to be very faster, and then very, very, they last long, very long. The same thing with more of the treatment, the hydraulic structures which we have in place now. So we are now trying to move them, convert them from the manual one or the diesel operated to the solar operated one. But it might interest you to know that we have one of our sites, Ejiba, Kogi State. It's now some few kilometers away from Kaba. God has so endowed that place with a mass of water. It's very massive. And that water flows by gravity. And it can flow by gravity for up to 32 kilometers. So you don't need any pumping station. You don't need to pump that water. It flows by gravity up to 32 kilometers. And there you have vast amounts of land. We have over 5,000 hectares of land there. What we are doing now is to line the canals such that, for water to flow up to 32 kilometers. Once it's lined, that means you can command all the areas within that, and you can have dry season farming year round. But right now we have so many investors there that's in fish farming, and there's so many ponds. And then we have other people, some people even came all the way from, I think, Nasarawa or Kano State some time ago to settle, to grow vegetables. And now they are settled there. They are not going back. Before they would go during the dry season and then go, but now they are not going. They are permanently, they've settled in Kogi State, and they have integrated with the community. They are more of the Kogi State than even their state of origin. Thank you.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Thank
you.
So
just to hit the nail on the head, for your organization, what other sources of power have you started exploring?
Yes, for our organization, we are into that solar. For emphasis, we are on solar. There is NACRED, the hydropower unit that also. So we are trying to get turbines, these small turbines that can move on small water, small dams. That one too. But the one we are doing now is solar. That of Tada Shunga, we are trying to convert all the pumps to solar-powered pumps.
Thank you most kindly. Toyin, you have the floor.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Aremu. for that insightful session. And maybe I would ask this as a follow-up to the fact that you talked about Kogi State. In terms of impact, what can you say that has been done or that has been achieved in terms of job creation, things like food security, along that line? You know, we are talking about Kwara and Kogi states that you cover. What impact have we been able to achieve over the period?
Mm-hmm. So yes, in terms of job security, is you know, agriculture is as a civil servant, you can engage in agriculture. So that's why we are trying to woo everyone, not that professional people that are trained. Yeah, all of us, let's all partake in agriculture. That's why we came up with that 1 hectare. You won't do more than 1 hectare. But if you want to do more than 1 hectare, you can start your own. But if you start with 1 hectare, but before that, the 1 hectare is that in 2016, the Honorable Minister launched the Graduate Youth Empowerment Scheme as a follow-up to Mr. President's directive. So the idea is as many youths. If you capture people from that youthful age, you are able to get more involvement. So you come to university or polytechnic or colleges of education, anyone that is interested. So for us, is every year we do take those youths, quite a number of them, then we train them in different aspects of agriculture, from the initial state, poultry, aquaculture, and so many other things. So we train them for 9 months, 9 months to 1 year. At times it runs through 1 year. So after training them, we now move them into the 1 month, like 1 month, 1 hectare, that the one we did then. But we normally give them stipends. Every year we give them stipends. But there's another model which we by the grace of God, next year. That model is that we may not give you stipends, but at the end of the day, we now give you inputs you need to start on your own. And that means you can have your poultry, you can have your fish farm, and the rest together as a combined system. Then we give you land. Part of our land, we give you land, which you just pay the annual fee as low as 2,000 per hectare per year.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
For those that we have trained. So that area, the other area is aquaculture. We have so many of our ponds now. Okay, then we give you the ponds. Then we charge a particular fee. Then we give you. We also do extension services. Like now we have created. We have agriculture department as one of the major departments in the river basin. Now it has been extended to. It has been also it has changed to agricultural services department. So this department provides extension services to also farmers. Within that department and within the area offices and project offices, we have water users association, which we work together, work hand in hand with. Water users are part of the integral part of the area offices. They also work with the area manager, who is the head, and other agric extension officers, which we have in the area offices. So, but
all right, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Maybe to round it up, sir, can you put a figure to it in terms of maybe the number of farmers that you have enrolled in all of these programs that you're talking about? Can you put a figure to it?
Yes.
How many beneficiaries?
But I can say that of Ilorin area office, that's the 1 hectare. Last year, we were able to put 350 farmers in the 1 hectare. 350 farmers. Yes, that means 350 hectares spread across Ilorin area office. Then for the graduate youth empowerment, since we are giving them a stipend of 10,000 per month, is very, very demanding on the authority. We're only able to take 26 this year. 26 candidates, students here. They are going to graduate next month. Then next year, we tend to increase them to maybe 30 and so. But you need to provide basic infrastructure like more classrooms and the rest for them.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Can I Mr. Winston?
Can we go on a short ad break?
Yes.
Let's pay some bills, please. Hello, is everyone?
Yes.
So you
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. Now we have a lot of questions and we have a very limited time. So what we want to do now is, so that we don't leave the audience behind, we are opening the floor to the audience. I can see some hands up, and I also see that some people had written their questions on the chat box. So I'll take time to read through the questions so that our resource persons can respond to them. And then we will also launch our Ruach platform, which we will be talking a bit about and inviting our resource persons to be part of that. So let me quickly read one of the questions from a member of the audience. And this question is to Dr. Aremu. The question is there any interstate program for water assistance? Can a state in dire need of water get supply of water from another state with enough water? Dr. Aremu here?
Yeah, I can hear. Can I have the question again?
Okay, the question here is there any interstate program for water assistance? Can a state in dire need of water get water from another state with enough water?
Okay, interstate program for water.
Yes, so can a state, for example, Kwara, you have a lot of water. Can you give water to Niger if Niger needs water? That's the question he's asking.
Yes, there are so many. Yes, it's possible. It's possible, but we don't have that now. But it's something that is possible because when you have a water body running through two states, you can pump from that. Like what we have now in Lake Chad. Lake Chad is gradually drying up now. What the Commission now wants to do is to go far to the Nigerian Republic and bring water and pump to that to the Lake Chad. So it's actually possible, but you know Nigeria has been stratified into 12 authorities. So you can pump water, get water from one basin to the other, since we have the same mandate. I hope I've answered that question. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I hope I've answered the question. No?
Yes, you have. I believe you have, sir.
Yes.
Okay, so let me take this question to Mrs. Stella. Mrs. Stella, please, are you with me? Okay, somebody is asking, he wants to know where your headquarters is in Nigeria.
Okay, it's in Kano State. That's where our headquarters is, but we have other offices in Ibadan, in Niger, in Gombe, and in Kaduna.
All right, ma. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes. Mr. Winston, are you here? Then we have a question. Maybe I'll direct this to Dr. Aremu now, where somebody wants to know, well, I think it's a bit straightforward, but let me put the question to you. How do people from in other locations, how do smallholder farmers in other locations benefit from some of these programs that you are running in your organization? Dr. Aremu?
You know, I said we have 12 river basins. So
Okay,
each
sir.
river basin has its catchment area, just like any state in Nigeria. So my own catchment area is Kwara and Kogi, the upper Niger too, and the rest. So throughout Nigeria, there's a river basin, throughout which will be the catchment area of the person that is asking the question.
Okay, sir.
So
So your advice would be that the person should visit the project office or
yes,
that is closest to them.
Like that person, I think somebody asked from Lagos. Its own is the catchment area of Ogwoshu.
Okay. Okay. So
basin.
for instance, somebody from Lagos can approach Ogwoshu,
RBDA.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, sir. And okay, thank you very much. Then we have additional questions, and this one I think would also go to Dr. Aremu, where somebody is asking specifically that they are doing something in the ginger value chain, and they are thinking of this irrigation farming, that how can the organization be of help in what they do, you know, in...
Yes, like I said earlier, we have the services department, agricultural services department. If it's within our catchment area, we can be invited, and they will now look at, you know, we have several irrigation facilities. So they will now ask which one is best for them in that area. So, but for now, is what we want to do is we want the one that's with solar based, and we have several companies that are bringing in their proposals that they are going to supply these solar based irrigation facilities. But you know, we have to examine them, use them ourselves before we recommend. So in every year's budget, we have provision of such infrastructure. And by the time we test run and it's okay, we can then recommend to the public.
Okay, thank you very much. And somebody wants to know whether you have where Ebonyi State falls. Which of these?
Ebonyi is Anambra Imo.
Okay, sir.
So yes, Anambra Imo River Basin Development Authority.
Okay. Okay, so this is not a question directly, but it's just it's a contribution from somebody where they are saying that there are irrigation potential area in Asia, just like we have in Ejiba, that you should look into that as well, and that's also in the Yagba West local government area, that you can also tap into that. So maybe you could take note of that, sir.
Okay, Asia. Let me put it down. Asia. ESAIA. Okay.
Yes, just like Ejiba.
Take notes. Okay.
Okay. Then Mrs. Stella, somebody is asking, can the organization groom interested persons in this seed business? And then they want to know the cost and time implications attached to that, if you're going to be willing to do that for somebody. They're like, so this person is basically talking about a mentoring program. That's what I would think. How can you mentor somebody that wants to come into the seed industry?
Yes, we can mentor. We mentor some youth and some women.
Okay, is there a formal program for that?
Actually, no. The ones we've been doing is organizing it on our own, based on our own recommendations. You understand? We have some youth that we work with, and we have some women. But if the person is interested, we can work with the person.
All right, ma. Do you have so I'm
have a program for that? No, but we can start it off.
All right, ma. So I'm sure that you're going to have internet presence where the person can find your contact.
Yes.
And they can contact you and let you know that they are from Ruach. So you know that that's actually going to be a follow-up action that we're expecting from you.
That would be very nice. We'll be willing to do it for our participants. Yeah. For free.
Thank you very much. Oh, thank you very much, Ma.
Yeah.
And somebody is asking a question here. The person is a farmer from Kwara and hasn't benefited from any governmental program before, in the last 5 years. And then they want to know what kind of program that they can link up to. I think that we have taken some of those conversations around the one man, one woman hectare. So I believe that it's a starting point for you, Mr. Abdul Karim Abdul Fatai. It's a starting point where you can approach their office to be able to know how you can tap into such opportunities. Then another question from Mr. Ronald is, I have started an agro-based business with intention for production and value addition in all areas, starting with piggery, which I intend to be feeding from my farm. I need mentorship and funding. So the person needs mentorship and then they need funding. I think on the issue of mentorship, we have answered the question to an extent where Mrs. Stella can do a bit of that for us. And then for funding, maybe I would just maybe recommend a few funding opportunities like approaching NISAL, microfinance. Even the central bank has some programs that you can begin to look at. And also there are a lot of innovative financing that are coming up now. There's such thing as a capital venture. There's so much going around on funding now. So I believe that this person, Ronald, actually can tap into such opportunities that we have. And then another question goes to Mrs. Stella, but I don't think we have her right now. They want to know the name of our seed company and the address. Well, the name of the seed company is Techniseed. So I'm answering Mr. Al-Abib now. The name of the company that Mrs. Stella manages is Techniseed, and it's in Kaduna. They have internet presence, so you could actually look them up on the internet, check them out. The Techniseed, they want to know your address.
Yes, 66 Heritage Road, yeah, Kano. That's where our head office is, but we have a branch office in Kaduna, in the market, and then we have
so I think the person probably wants to know the address of the one in Kaduna.
Okay, I'll just post it.
Then I also think that it's going to be on the internet where the person can www.techniseed.com. And then Mrs. Stella, maybe you should just diarize this, put it at the back of your notes that the next time I'm in Kano, I'm going to be verging into your office. Because I have a lot of work around there. So be sure that you're going to have me soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Toyin.
Oh, you're back. Thank you.
I am back. I have been having a good time. Thank you most kindly for stepping in. So do we have any other questions? Anyone wanting to ask a verbal question? Would allow one person to speak if you have to, just one person. Farouk Aremu, so we would unmute you and you have just 1 minute, please.
Okay, good day, everyone.
Hello.
Good day.
It's nice this was a very interactive session. I think I learned quite a lot. My name officially is Farouk Aremu. I am an entrepreneur. I've been studying the agricultural sector in Nigeria for the past 1 year. I started a company called the AgroShare Project. So I'm going to keep it short. What we are trying to do is trying to bridge the gap between farmers, investors, and consumers. That's our target, to unite this entity, because major challenge in Nigeria is not that they are not producing. The farmer is actually putting in work, getting regular harvest. They are investors willing to invest, but they don't know the data from the harvest is not structured, and there's demand for consumer supply, and there's consumer supply and demand. So there's a need for us to bring this entity together. So that's what AgroShare Project was looking at. I'm just going to make this statement. I called a similar startup that does something like this, Farm Crowdy. So we were trying to understand how we can bring investments from the farm sector, the harvest, how we can bring it to farm tradable stocks. Like, if you understand all this latest agribusiness that comes up, they will give, okay, you invest in us and we'll give you a return on investment, and after.
Now you have 20 seconds. 20
okay,
seconds
okay,
to
I'm
go.
just keep it.
So
Okay,
your
my
question,
question
please.
is, how do we aggregate harvest units of stocks? How do we datarize harvest from farmers to create data for investors to kind of try to structure the finance around it? Any suggestions? It's just for research purposes.
Okay, so interestingly, we have one of the moderators who is a lecturer in agricultural economics.
Wow.
So I would want to give my co-moderator a chance to respond.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Farouk. To go straight to your question, one thing that we need to recognize is the fact that when we talk about agricultural commodities, it's not standardized.
Exactly.
Isn't it? Exactly. So it's not standardized. And then, you know, we have a lot of characteristics that we're talking about here. We're talking about the bulkiness, the perishability, and all of that. So one key area that I would rather think that we need to focus on to be able to achieve what you have in the long run is the place of value addition. It's possible for you to bring the commodities, you know, from the level of when it was invested, you add value to it, and then you now get a produce, you know, a processed produce that can be standardized. But if you are not able to standardize it, it's difficult for you to come to a place where you can now talk about them, you know, in general terms. Because when you see my harvest, when I get my harvest from my farm, what you're going to find that I have might be different from what the next person on the field that is next to me has. So until we are able to add value to this produce, we cannot continue to look at them in their raw state until we are able to find, you know, a solution into the value addition challenge that we have. It's going to be difficult for us to move into that level. So I think it's important for us to focus first on value addition. When we focus on that, then we now have a unified product that we can talk about in this case. I don't know whether I've answered a bit of your question.
Thank you, Toyin. I think you have, because the gentleman is actually nodding. He's been nodding all through. So I believe that you have answered his question. Okay, so I have one question for Stella before I go on to launch our platform or to talk about our platform. Stella, are you there, please? I know you're moving, but kindly, we need you back here just for a minute or two. Someone asked a question on mentorship, which was pretty interesting. I think that person preempted what I'm about to say. The Ruach Consortium is putting together or is commencing an industry-level agribusiness human capital development program. And some members of the audience have been asking to partner with us in this e-learning and field environment that provides practical guidance on how to start just about any business. And in this case, some people are particular about the seed industry. Would you like to be a part of this, working with us to mentor the people who are looking to be part of this industry?
Is she here?
Yes, unmute us.
Okay, yes.
Oh, great.
Oh.
Thank you most kindly.
She's on the move. She's on the move.
All right. Brilliant. So I'd now like to talk about the Ruach.ng platform. And I would want the technical team to be on standby so that we could play our video. The Ruach.ng platform is a capacity development platform that will include industry leaders like Dr. Remu and Mrs. Stella, whom we have heard today. And our mission is to impact knowledge to everyone that will be on board. The first session will kick off in November, and we will be sending promotional material to those who will be interested in joining that session. Our first session is a mentorship masterclass on how to get into profitable business in the agricultural space, especially. So I would now like the technical team to play the launch video, which will tell us in more detail just what the Ruach platform has to offer to you. The African continent has 60% of the world's underdeveloped arable land, abundant water bodies, and unimaginable resources. Nigeria in particular is richly blessed. As of the 1.3 billion people in Africa, Nigeria has 200 million people, making it the most populous country in the African continent. Little wonder Dr. Akinwumi Adesina of the African Development Bank has repeatedly said that if we leverage our resources properly, the future of food in the world will depend on what Africa does with agriculture. However, to get to this point, Africans, especially Nigerians, need to leverage on the right proposition as well as access the most strategic partnerships and the various forms of capital. These include finance and investment capital, equipment and adequate machinery capital to drive industrialization, scientific and technological capital in solutions to drive productivity across different facets of human endeavors. And finally, but most importantly, the human capital. And this is expressed via intellectual and technological capacity to enhance, sustain, and maintain all the various dimensions of capitals. For the human resources to become human capital, the relevant and adequate skills must be developed. There must be intentional and deliberate actions towards human capital development. It is for this reason that I introduce Ruach.ng, a digital ecosystem with a vision to reinvent how people share knowledge, do business, and establish a basis for social interactions. At Ruach.ng, industry and thought leaders get to provide relevant, practical, bespoke solutions and knowledge in a digital network that combines economic and social engagements. By constantly delivering bespoke value to our users, Ruach.ng will be on course to become the foremost digital ecosystem for learning, economic development, and social engagements. Users will be able to engage top leaders for access to learning and mentorship, expanding their business network, and increasing their presence as well as their business markets. Via these steps, you can create an account and join live sessions to begin your business networking immediately. Welcome to Ruach.ng. All right, thank you very much, technical team. So to members of our audience, you have seen just what we have in store for you. If you'd like to be a part of this, you would kindly send us an email or drop your name and your email address in the comment section, and we will get back to you with that. On that note, I would now invite our panelists to give us their closing thoughts. So let's start with Mrs. Stella Thomas. We can't find her. So let's invite Dr. Aremu to give us his closing thoughts. Dr. Aremu, kindly unmute yourself, please.
Good. Yeah, thank you for inviting me to actually say some of what we've been doing. And I want to tell our audience that we still have other river basins with their catchment area. We have 12 in number. Mine is just one, and we cover Kwara and Kogi. We have Anambra Imu, Bini Owena, Chad Basin, Cross River, Adeja Jamari in Kano, Lower Benue in Makodi, Lower Niger, that's mine. And we have Niger Delta, Ogun, the another one, that's the upper part of Benue, Upper Benue, we have Upper Niger and Sokoto Rima, making 12 RBDs, and they spread across all the states of the Federation. And in within the river basins, you have the area offices and project offices and small schemes down to the grassroots. So you can take advantage of any of these programs which I've highlighted. We all do the same thing, fashion within the same program, and take advantage of that within your area of jurisdiction. And we also welcome investors. You see, government alone cannot do this agribusiness. You can, if there's any particular area you actually want to do. And as it is now, last year, the Honorable Minister met with BPE, and they've started partial commercialization of the RBDAs. I've started with Sokoto, Ogoshu, Niger Delta, and Upper Niger. So partial commercialization of the RBD, the River Basin Development Authorities. So investors can take opportunity of this initiative to actually key into the activities of the RBDs. Thank you.
Thank you most kindly, Dr. Aremu. Is Mrs. Stella back? All right. So it has been my pleasure being your moderator, one of the moderators of this event. And I would like to say thank you to everyone who has been part of this. I will now hand over to Toyin to close the event.
Okay, thank you very much, Winston, for this part of the conversation. And then in closing, I'd like to mention that for everyone, Ruach is here, to provide the mentoring opportunities that you may need. And also, we have various opportunities, that we can link you with investors, the linkage, you can create a linkage between investors and the industry. So that is all that we are here for, because we really want to see agriculture move forward. We want to see the value chain developed. So we would look forward to having opportunities where you would sign up, for some of our classes, and to go through the mentoring program with us, because you're going to be benefiting a lot when it comes to your agribusiness. So thank you once again for being here. And then we look forward to seeing you at the next program for the coming month. Thank you. Have a great and productive day.
Thank you, everyone. And I wish you all a very good afternoon. Thank you for investing your time with us. Cheers.
Yeah.
Remu, it was a very good
Thanks.
time.
Thanks. Yeah.
The African continent has 60% of the world's underdeveloped arable land, abundant water bodies, and unimaginable resources. Nigeria in particular is richly blessed. As of the 1.3 billion people in Africa, Nigeria has 200 million people, making it the most populous country in the African continent. Little wonder Dr. Akinwumi Adesina of the African Development Bank has repeatedly said that if we leverage our resources properly, the future of food in the world will depend on what Africa does with agriculture. However, to get to this point, Africans, especially Nigerians, need to leverage on the right proposition as well as access the most strategic partnerships and the various forms of capital. These include finance and investment capital, equipment and adequate machinery capital to drive industrialization, scientific and technological capital in solutions to drive productivity across different facets of human endeavors. And finally, but most importantly, the human capital. And this is expressed via intellectual and technological capacity to enhance, sustain, and maintain all the various dimensions of capitals. For the human resources to become human capital, the relevant and adequate skills must be developed. There must be intentional and deliberate actions towards human capital development. It is for this reason that I introduce Ruach.ng, a digital ecosystem with a vision to reinvent how people share knowledge, do business, and establish a basis for social interactions. At Ruach.ng, industry and thought leaders get to provide relevant, practical, bespoke solutions and knowledge in a digital network that combines economic and social engagements. By constantly delivering bespoke value to our users, Ruach.ng will be on course to become the foremost digital ecosystem for learning, economic development, and social engagements. Users will be able to engage top leaders for access to learning and mentorship, expanding their business network, and increasing their presence as well as their business markets. Via these steps, you can create an account and join live sessions to begin your business networking immediately. Welcome to Ruach.ng.